Imagine you've landed in a Spanish-speaking country. Now you want to see the city, go to different places. And to do this, you need to catch a bus. How could you do it?
That's exactly what you'll be learning today, amigos. How to catch a bus in Espanol. You'll know the phrases to ask. Where's the bus stop? Where's this bus going? How do you buy a ticket? And any other essential vocab you need as a beginner. Vamos, amigos. Welcome to Spanglish Friends, the podcast for true beginner Spanish learners.
Hola amigos, I'm Val, your experienced Spanish teacher and co-host from Venezuela.
And I'm Em, your Australian co-host who's been learning Spanish for 10 years.
We'll help you get confident listening and speaking beginner Spanish with content you can actually use in real-life conversations.
Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on socials at Spanglish_friends. Let's get started.
Comencemos. Buenos días! It's Spanglish friends! Welcome back to your favorite place to learn practical Spanish that you can actually use. And if you're new here, bienvenido.
This is episodio 66. This is episode 66, and we're talking about something every traveler needs to know: how to catch a bus in Spanish using beginner vocab.
Whether you are visiting Panama, Colombia, Argentina, or pretty much any Spanish-speaking country, buses are one of the easiest and cheapest ways to get around.
But stepping onto a bus in another language can feel intimidating. Is this the right bus? Does it stop where I need it to? How do I know when to get off?
So many things. But don't worry. In the next 15 minutes, we are going to teach you 3 essential things. How to ask where a bus is going, how to buy a ticket and ask the price, and how to say when you need to get off politely.
Now, let's listen to today's conversación pequeña, a little mini conversation. Imagine that I'm traveling around a Spanish-speaking country and I need to get to the city center and I'm going to catch a bus to get there.
Listen carefully and see which words you recognize. Amiga Em, ¿estás lista?
Sí, estoy lista. Comencemos. Disculpe, ¿dónde está la parada del bus 023?
Hola, la parada está allá, a 2 cuadras.
Gracias. ¿Y ese bus va al centro?
Ah, sí, el bus va al centro.
Genial, gracias. ¿Me da un boleto para el centro, por favor?
Claro, son 15 pesos.
Aquí tiene. Muchas gracias.
Ah, de nada.
All right, friends, that little mini conversation had everything you'll need to confidently catch a bus in Espanol.
Let's break it down step by step so everything becomes crystal clear.
Yes, the first thing we need to learn is the word for bus in Spanish. The most universal word is el bus, sometimes autobus, but el bus is most common.
Different Spanish-speaking countries use different words. For example, in Argentina, you might hear el colectivo. In Chile, la micro. In Cuba or Puerto Rico, la guagua. Or also el autobús in other countries like Venezuela.
Nice. Some Aussie mates of mine caught what they called chicken buses in a lot of rural areas. They might be called la camioneta. La camioneta. You might hear this in places like Guatemala, y Nicaragua, y Honduras. Lots of different ways to say the word bus.
That's super interesting. Now, the most important phrase for today's lesson is este bus va a, which means does this bus go to plus a place?
Yes. For example, este bus va al centro. Does this bus go to? Then we added the place, al centro, the city center. Or este bus va al aeropuerto. Does this bus go to the airport?
Va means goes, which comes from the verb ir, to go. And a is a preposition which means to this place. You might notice we say al centro instead of a el centro. Two separate words become one. And that's because whenever a and el together in a sentence, they combine and they form al, making the language flow more naturally.
Yes, it's a contraction. We have this all the time in English with words like don't instead of do not. It's the same thing here. A-L becomes al. Now, you don't need to do this if a place is feminine. You keep a-la. For example, este bus va a la plaza. Este bus va a la plaza. Does this bus go to the square? Square of a town is feminine. La plaza. So it's a la plaza.
Another useful question is, ¿dónde está la parada del bus? Where's the bus stop? ¿Dónde está la parada del bus?
Yes, and del is another contraction word there of de and el, but it's combined to make del, del. Where is the stop of the bus? Literally, if we translated this to English. Now, you might hear responses like, está allá, it's over there. Está a dos cuadras, it's 2 blocks away. Val used this to reply to me in our mini conversation. We cover directions and all of that fabulous extra vocabulary in episode 16. So if you're interested in more particular details, go check out this previous episode.
Once you've found the correct bus and you know where it stops, it's time to buy your tickets. The word for ticket you can use is boleto. But in some countries, you might also hear billete or pasaje, or even the word ticket. Very Spanglish.
That is so Spanglish, el ticket.
To buy a ticket, simply say, me da un boleto para, plus the place, por favor. For example, me da un boleto para el centro, por favor. Can you give me a ticket to the city center, please? Or me da un boleto para el aeropuerto, por favor. Can you give me a ticket to the airport, please?
Yes, and if you're traveling with multiple people, a partner, a friend, a family member, you can just change the number. Me da 2 boletos para el aeropuerto, por favor. 3 boletos, 4 boletos. Now, you probably also want to know the ticket price. How do you ask this, Val?
El conductor, the driver, might respond with, son 2 euros. It's 2 euros. Son $3. It's $3. Or son 4 pesos. It's 4 pesos. You don't need to understand every number immediately. Even recognizing a few numbers can help you feel more confident. We taught you numbers back in episode 10. So head to that if you are just starting out and want a crash course.
And remember, if anyone speaks to you too quickly, you can always use the phrase, ¿Puede repetir, por favor? Can you repeat that, please? Or un poco más lento, por favor? A little bit slower, please? Okay, friends, now that you've found the right bus, you've bought your ticket, now comes the big question. How can you say when you want to get off? How do you know you're at the right stop?
One of the easiest ways is ¿Me deja acá, por favor? Can you drop me off here, please?
Nice. Or if you want to get dropped off, for example, at the next stop, the following stop, you can say me deja en la siguiente parada, por favor. Can you drop me at the next stop? La siguiente parada, por favor. Parada means stop, the bus stop.
Now, if you just want to ask the driver, el conductor, to give you the heads up that you have arrived at your stop, maybe Google Maps isn't working for you suddenly, you can ask, ¿Me puede avisar cuando lleguemos? Plus the place. This means, can you let me know when we arrive? And you can add the place. ¿Me puede avisar cuando lleguemos al centro? Can you let me know when we arrive at the city center?
Such a useful phrase. And you can also triple check you're at the right stop by asking el conductor, ¿Me bajo aquí? ¿Me bajo aquí? This means, do I get off here? They might reply with sí or no, unas paradas más, a few more stops, or no, una parada más, one more stop.
The verb bajar, by the way, means to get off. So me bajo aquí means literally, do I get off here?
Nice, friends. Let's do a quick recap to just cement everything in your minds for catching el bus in español. So, to ask where the bus stop is, say, ¿Dónde está la parada del bus?
To buy a ticket, you say, me da un boleto para plus the place and por favor. To ask to get off the bus, you could say, me deja acá, por favor?
To ask where the bus is going, you can say, Este bus va a, and the place. Este bus va al centro. Este bus va a la plaza. Does this bus go to the plaza? And finally, to check that you are at the right stop, you can use these two phrases. ¿Me puede avisar cuando lleguemos past the place? ¿Me puede avisar cuando lleguemos al centro? Can you let me know when we arrive to the city center? And you can double check with me bajo aquí. Do I get off here? If you can remember just these few little phrases, you're going to be able to confidently travel any bus in a Spanish-speaking country with just a bit of beginner español. Woohoo! Amigos, some incredibly practical Spanish today you can use. Now it's time to put it into practice to make sure it's cemented in your mind with nuestra reto de la semana, our challenge of the week.
This week's challenge is to write a sentence asking where a bus is going. Think of where would you like to go and ask the question starting with Este bus va a, and then you can add your place. Just any destination. Leave your sentence in the comments and I'll be checking them to help you level up your Spanish skills. How fantastic!
Speaking of cosas fantásticas, fantastic things, it's time for our Spanglish friend shout out of the week. And this week's shout out goes to JD, who commented on episode 57, where we taught you how to say if you get along with someone versus not so well in Espanol. They said, parece que M y Val se llevan bien, meaning it seems that Val and M get along well, which is a great sentence, JD, and 100% accurate. 100% accurate. We're besties. Well done.
Felicitaciones, JD! We absolutely love seeing your comments. We want to keep shouting out more people kicking their Spanish goals. So head to the comments to get involved in today's reto.
And just a tiny spoiler alert for next episode, we're going to be talking about how to navigate el restaurante, the restaurant in Spanish. How do you ask for the menu? How do you ask where the toilets are? How do you say you want to order something? How do you pay the bill? And much, much more.
Such a useful topic. Until next time, amigos.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.
Thanks for listening to Spanglish Friends. We're both so proud of the time you're investing to level up your Spanish skills.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us, leave a rating, or tell a friend about the show. It helps our awesome community grow.
Join fellow beginner Spanish learners by following us on Instagram and TikTok at Spanglish_friends.
Congratulations on taking another step in your Spanish learning journey.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.